this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet the arrow stitch. This is a gorgeous 2-row repeated pattern that is plain on the inside, making it useful for crocheting beanies and anything you'd like a flat surface on the other side for. And then you have this beautiful texture on the right side, made up by these lovely elongated stitches that make up your arrows. So let's have a look at the tutorial. So for this tutorial I'm using a DK yarn. I have a 4.5mm crochet hook. You could use a 4 with a DK. So choose whichever yarn you would like and a corresponding crochet hook. I have scissors to cut off my end, needle to sew in my end, and a stitch marker just in case I need one. So we're going to start off with the foundation chain. So we're going to make a slip knot. You can do that in whichever way you prefer. And our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of 4. So we yarn over, pull through the one on our hook, that's one chain, yarn over, pull through the one on the hook, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to go up to 20 stitches in my foundation chain. You can make yours as long or as short as you'd like it to be for the width of your project. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain. So I have my 20 stitches. We're now going to start row 1, and row 1 begins in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, we're working into that second chain there, and we're going in there with a double crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. In US terms that would be a single crochet. So we're going to put a double crochet into the next stitch and a double crochet into the next stitch. So we now have 3 double crochets. Now this is the start of the repeat for the row. So for this repeat we're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then do 3 double crochets over the next 3 chains. So double crochet in one chain, double crochet in the next, and double crochet in the third one. I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and 3 double crochets. So this is the second repeat of that pattern, 1, 2, and 3, and then we repeat the pattern again, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, skip a stitch, and 3 double crochets. And your last double crochet should be in the last stitch of the row. So pause the video now whilst you complete row 1 with your chain 1, skip a stitch, and 3 double crochets, and I shall see you in a moment. So for row 2 then, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn our work. This chain 3 counts as a treble, therefore we are not going to work into that very first stitch, we're going to work into the next one. And into that next stitch we're going to do a treble, so yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Remember US, that's a double crochet. So we have this treble here and a treble here, and we're going to do another treble in the next stitch. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We're then going to do a treble into the chain space. So yarn over, insert into the chain space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And basically we're just going to work all the way down the row, going into the stitch, 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 chain space with trebles. So there'll be a treble in each stitch. So you go treble in the first stitch, treble in the second stitch, treble in the third stitch, treble in the chain space. So pause the video now whilst you work your way to the end of row 2, and I shall see you in a moment. So just finishing my row 2 now, so I'm just doing my last 3 trebles that go into the top of stitches, and that will be the end of row 2. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So this is the row where we're going to be putting our arrows, if you like, the arrow stitches. So the chain 1 doesn't count, so that means we're going to work into that very first space there, and we are going into that stitch with a double crochet. And then we're going to work the first part of an arrow stitch, so the bit that's going to come down here. And we're going to do that by doing a double treble. That would be a double double in US. So you yarn over twice, so 1, 2. Find the chain space on that foundation row from 2 rows below. And just for this row, it's going to be different on the next arrow row, and I'll show you how to do that later. But just for this row, we're going to go underneath the chain, through the chain space, yarn over and pull a loop through that chain space. We're then going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops on our hook. And you'll see how that's just going to lie to the side. So that stitch is actually lying over this stitch here, which means we're not going to work into that stitch because it's been taken care of, if you like. So into the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to double crochet in the next one. So these chain spaces here are where we're going to do the arrow stitches into for the next rows up. So we're creating the basis for the next row whilst also doing the arrows, which is very clever. So now we're going to do a full arrow. So just have a look where your chain space is that you worked into before, and then work along and see if you can find the next chain space, which should be sort of 3 stitches along because we did 3 double crochets in between. So we're going to be working into this chain space and into this chain space, and we're going in with double trebles again. So we yarn over, yarn over. Now this is going to be double treble 2 together, so it's going to class as sort of 1 stitch. So we're going to come underneath the chain, yarn over and pull back through that chain space. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 on our loop, yarn over, pull through the next 2 on our loop, and we're going to leave 2 loops there. We're then going to find that next chain space, and we're going to complete this double treble 2 together by yarning over, yarn over. Come underneath the chain into that chain space, yarn over and pull back through. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, you should have 3 loops left, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And there you have your first arrowhead. As before, that counts as 1 stitch, so we must find the stitch we would have worked into, which would be this one here, and we double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet, and then we're going to do the arrow stitch again. So this time we're going to be working into this chain space that we'd already worked for the last arrowhead and into the next chain space, which is 3 stitches over. So yarn over, yarn over, yarn over, coming underneath that chain, yarn over and pull up your loop, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2 and leave that stitch there. Yarn over, find your next chain space, come underneath, yarn over, pull through, got 5 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, then yarn over and pull through all 3. And there we have our second arrowhead. So again, we're going to skip the stitch that hasn't been worked because that's lying on top, and we do a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet. So work your way down to the end of your row till you've done your last full arrowhead, and I will see you at the end to show you how to do the opposite of this single part of the arrowhead at the end of this row. So pause the video now. So I've come up to the end of my row. I've done my last full arrowhead, and it looks like I should have space to do another arrowhead, but there's no chain space here, so we're just going to do 1 arrowhead half here. So if you think about it, we did that one on this side, we're going to do that one on the other side. So we're going to be going through the last chain space that we worked into with a double crochet, double treble. So yarn over, remember, come under your stitch, does feel a bit awkward, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So that stitch will lie over this stitch here, and then we're just going to finish the row off by doing a double crochet in the 3rd chain of that turning chain. And there you have row 3 complete. So we're basically going to repeat rows 2 and rows 3 for the rest of the pattern, but row 3 on the next repeat is slightly different because obviously we're not going into the chain. So I'm going to work up the next row, and then I'm going to work up and show you how to do the next repeat of row 3. So go ahead and work your next repeat of row 2, and I will see you for the repeat of row 3. So I've just done my repeat of row 2. So I just double checked, and I have 19 trebles if you include that 3 chain at the beginning of the row. You should have 1 less stitch than your beginning foundation stitch, foundation row. So I did 20 chains and I have 19 trebles in this row. So if you just want to double check just to make sure you haven't missed anything, always worth checking. So for the repeat of row 3 then, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Remember, the chain 1 doesn't count, so we're going to work into that very first stitch with a double crochet, that's single in US. And then we're going to do our half arrow like we did on the first repeat, and that goes into the chain space here. So you need to sort of work underneath the chain space. So when we did it in the foundation chain, we could just come under and it was quite easy. This time we've got to go through the bar of the stitch underneath. So yarn over, come through the bar, underneath the bar, and out into the chain space. Yarn over and pull up a loop. So 4 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Now remember, we've worked this stitch. The next stitch belongs to the double treble we just did. So working in the next stitch, then we're going to double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet. We now need to do our arrow, our full arrow, like this one here. And we're going to do that by doing our double crochet 2 together into the chain space we just worked in 2 rows below, and the one that's right in the middle of the 2 arrowheads on the previous row. Makes it nice and easy to try and find it. So we're going to yarn over, yarn over. Remember, this is double treble 2 together, so we're not going to complete this first stitch. So we go into and under the chain space, yarn over and pull through, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and leave 2 on your hook. We're then going to do the same into the next chain space, so we're going in underneath that chain space. So yarn over, come underneath the chain space and out into it. Yarn over and pull through. Should have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and then the last stitch is to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that gives us our next arrowhead on top of the arrowhead from the previous row. If you turn your work back, you can see you worked into this stitch. The next stitch belongs to the arrowhead, so we're going to work into the next one with a double crochet, a chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet, and we do the arrowhead together. So we're going into this chain space and then into the next chain space. So double yarn over, insert just underneath that chain space and come out, yarn over and pull back through, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, leave the stitch there, working into the next chain space and going underneath the bars from the previous row, yarn over, underneath that bar and come out through the chain space, yarn over and pull back through, should have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through all 3 to finish off that stitch. So you work the same way all the way to the end, and then when you come to your last stitch, you're going to put an arrowhead over the last full arrowhead, and then you're going to do your half arrowhead at the end of the row. So pause the video now whilst you work up this next row. I'm going to work up a few more rows for you to see how it looks when it's made up, and I shall see you in a moment. So I've just worked up a few more rows for you to see how it looks. Really gorgeous stitch, nice and flat on the back, with these lovely raised double trebles on the front. I have to say the first couple of rows I found sort of quite tricky because you're trying to get into the swing of things. Once you get past there and you can see exactly where you need to put your stitches, it actually works out quite quickly, especially because you've got these treble rows in between that give you a nice bit of height, so you feel like you're getting through your pattern a bit quicker. So yeah, it's just a really nice stitch. I can see it being used on all sorts of things, maybe onto blankets. Wouldn't use it on baby blankets because of the risk of catching fingers. Be lovely on scarves. I can see that as a really beautiful scarf. Because it's flat on the back, it would be quite a nice one to do on beanies. So a really good stitch, really nice versatile stitch with a lovely bit of texture to it. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. It shows the YouTube algorithm that people have liked it, and they will show it to other crocheters to help them on their crochet journey as well. If you enjoyed seeing my stitch marker today, this is the Silver Fox stitch marker. It's available in my Shopify shop and it's also on my Etsy shop. I'll put a link for the Shopify around here somewhere, and also you can go to shop.conquercrochet.com. I shall pop 2 more videos on the side of the screen over here to help you on your crochet journey, and I shall see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hugging!